So getting back to your earlier question about market, your company page on LinkedIn is a misnomer really, because LinkedIn has 600 million followers, okay? LinkedIn's company page has 4 million followers. So that tells you that even LinkedIn can't get you on LinkedIn to follow LinkedIn on LinkedIn. And if LinkedIn can't persuade people to follow people on LinkedIn, then you and I have got no chance to get them to follow our companies. So you really got to think about, it's all about the leader. Jeff Weiner has 9 million followers. So the CEO of LinkedIn has double the amount of people following him than the company page of LinkedIn itself. Microsoft, the same thing. Microsoft has 6 million followers, but Bill Gates has 18 million followers. So people follow people on LinkedIn, they follow you, they don't follow company pages. So do not waste your time on your company page. You need it for health reasons, just to have it up there as a hygiene factor, but not to have followers. Yes?
No, that was actually sort of what I was going to say, like you should still have
one for a hygiene factor, correct, like you need a website.
For the brand.
Correct.
So if you work
Correct.
at or you run
Correct.
at company X, you
Correct.
can actually click on it and it is
Correct.
actually there.
Correct. And it tells you, how many employees, what your address is, like your website would do.
And there's
Yeah.
a website link.
Correct.
And
Correct. But don't expect massive engagements on your company page because you will not get it. Because I've just showed you basically,
very, very little at all.
Yeah, Microsoft own LinkedIn, even though they've only got 6 million followers. Literally 1% of people on LinkedIn who basically are owned by Microsoft follow Microsoft itself. So you want to be more like Rico DeBlanc, for example. You're basically putting your thoughts out there, happy employees, happy guests, talking about the Ritz-Carlton and Apple, for example. Arnie Sorensen, Marriott Starwood, great example. He puts lots of thoughts out there, moving with purpose, examples of people in his organization. And he has 400,000 followers, gets phenomenal engagement. Look at the Marriott page. Double the followers, but the engagement levels are less. So even though they have more followers, no one is engaging with the company page. They're engaging with Arnie, because Arnie is very engageable. Richard Branson's obviously the best example. He's got 18 million followers, and he puts some great content up. But Virgin Atlantic only have 120,000 followers. And the engagement levels are pathetic, 100 likes. Whereas Richard gets 13,000 likes. So it's all about the people, it's all about the CEO, it's about you marketing your company through your profile, not the company page. So then you've got to think about things like YouTube and SlideShare. Have a YouTube channel, because then you can share that onto LinkedIn. Then you can watch a video on LinkedIn because you're hosting it on YouTube. So that's why offline to online, online to online, but different platforms, works phenomenally well. But then own the content. So for example, I was on Channel News Asia Coffee with the Boss last year, and then I linked to it, but I then downloaded it. Because if you don't download it and Channel News Asia remove that video, you can then no longer connect with it. Then someone's clicking on it and they can't find it. So whenever you have any radio or TV appearances, download it yourself, own it, put it on your YouTube channel, and then link to it. So own the content, phenomenally important. So SlideShare is really, really good. SlideShare is part of LinkedIn, and you basically put decks up there, you can put case studies up there, you put research up there, and you can share that as well. It's great at basically, you can do search on SlideShare. But ultimately, it's not what you know, it's who you know on LinkedIn. As the Godfather very amply kind of demonstrated. It's about networking, networking, networking. And if anyone remembers why Kevin Bacon was the most powerful man in Hollywood a few years ago, he had 6 degrees of separation. Every single person who's anyone in Hollywood was connected with Kevin Bacon. Well, now LinkedIn makes it 3 degrees. So I have 10,000 followers in Singapore. That's important because it enables me to reach 300,000 second connections, 1.4 million third connections, which means I can basically reach 1.8 million of the 2.3 million people in Singapore through my first connections. So that's what it's about, quality connections, not about anybody. Because I do the same thing in Hong Kong, 1.4 million. In Sydney, 1.9 million. In Shanghai, 1.7 million. In London, where I haven't been for 10 years, including Oleg, 3.2 million. But that's why it's important to still connect with the Oleg, even though I don't want to see his copy and his feed and his content. Because he
gets thousands
of
likes all the time. It's amazing.
I know. It is fantastic. So people buy people, ultimately they buy you. They're buying you and your services. Nothing more demonstrates that Elon Musk. If we tried to pull the stunts that he did, we'd be locked up, we'd be thrown out. But he basically gets away with everything because he's basically Elon Musk. He can do anything he wants, flamethrowers, anything. Call something a boring company, sell caps, that doesn't really matter. He's Elon Musk. Because Because you can socially sell yourself whatever you want to do, and you can connect and engage people on LinkedIn through things like who viewed your profile. You're using the SEO to bring people to your profile, so then reach out to those people and say, thanks for viewing my profile, how can I help you? Look at things like invitations. You can actually use an invitation as a sales message. So you should always personalize it, but you can also use it as a sales message to reach out and say, hey, I'm visiting this particular city or country, let's meet up. And people can respond. It's a loophole. You can connect with people through a message, and they can respond without actually accepting your invitation. So to go to your point earlier, you don't have to accept that, but you can say, let's meet up, and then I'll connect with you. So you can actually do that as well. But the point is, you can actually message people for free. And then, of course, you can use Sales Navigator, which is the best tool for actually reaching out to people, because it's all about using the data. Anywhere in the world. It's how I've got 25 meetings in Zurich, by reaching out to people in Zurich who are founders and entrepreneurs, and I've reached out to them, and every single time I connect one of those, I get into their network, and to their network, and to their network. Suddenly I can reach 2 million people in Zurich. So it's all about the data on Sales Navigator. And then you create target lists, and those target lists generate leads for you if you do clever target lists on a daily basis. And then within those target lists, you can actually tell who's posted on LinkedIn. That's very important, because you really only want to talk to people who are actually active on LinkedIn. Because you can be mailing people and they're not even on LinkedIn. They've created a profile, but they haven't used it for a month, or they don't check their messages. But if people are actually using it, posting, and they happen to be premium, you've got much more possibility of actually engaging with them, because they're going to respond. They're actually paying for the service, they're posting, they're engaged. So that's down to your personal branding and your message to get that correct. You can then see people who've changed jobs, and that's particularly good, because then you can reach out to those people and say, how is your new position going? Are you thinking about changing agency? Are you thinking about rebranding? And then have a conversation, because obviously people make more decisions the first 90 days of a new job than any other time. So LinkedIn tells you this data. It also tells you if someone's mentioned the news, for example. And then you can actually save people as leads on LinkedIn, on Sales Navigator. It's fantastic. And I can see if my leads have come up in the news, or if they've changed jobs, or if they've shared. And again, if you focus on particular leads and you content using likes and comments and shares, they will get notifications saying, Chris has commented on your post. Chris has liked your post. Chris has shared your post. So you're socially selling. And because that headline follows you around, don't forget, you're basically constantly reminding people, oh, Chris does the personal branding stuff, or Chris does the LinkedIn stuff. Next time that person wants a LinkedIn person, they think of me, because we're constantly socially selling to them. So you need to basically do the same thing with your business. Open profiles are fantastic as well. So open profiles are the ability for someone to market to you and contact you and talk to you for free. So you have to tick a box which basically says you are open profile if you're premium, and then you can contact anyone. And what I mean by anyone is literally you can actually contact the second richest man in Singapore, who is Eduardo Saverin, the co-founder of Facebook. He's only worth $9 billion, but you can actually contact him for free. So I'm a second connection, but I can send a message for Eduardo. So if you have a great idea and don't do all this at the same time, you can actually now message Eduardo, say, Chris says, you apparently invest in lots of businesses. You can say to him, I've got a great idea, I've got this app. It's really, really fantastic, it'll change the world. But you can actually message Eduardo, whereas Darius is not open profile. You have to spend an in-mail to contact him. If you have no in-mails left, and if you have invited him already, you can't invite him a second time. You have no way of contacting Darius. So who are you going to contact? The multi-billion-dollar arm of Eduardo Saverin or Darius? You're going to go for Eduardo. He's made it easy to do business. Precisely. So it's just by ticking that little box. So in summary.
What do you mean by no emails left?
Because you only get 30 in-mails per month on your Sales Navigator or your premium account. So you only have 30. You can do open profiles to anyone. You can do connections to anyone.
And if you don't have a premium, you get 0 emails.
Correct. Because obviously you have to pay for it.
So does premium make sense?
Yes, because you can only see certain amount of profiles if you're not premium. So LinkedIn are limiting the amount of things you can now get for the free service, because obviously you want to make money. Because LinkedIn infamously doesn't make any money. That's why Microsoft bought it, because it's about to go bust. And so LinkedIn is now, obviously, they're using the data. So the subscription's worth it. If you're doing sales and marketing, it's definitely worth it. In summary, we all have reputations. And those reputations are being searched for on a daily basis. And these days, they're being searched for things like Google and things like word of mouth. And it goes back to that reputation book. Your reputation is not what you think it is, it's what other people are talking about. What other people say about you, which is why things like recommendations are so good. But everyone remembers the film Gladiator, when the evil emperor tried to kill Maximus. He realized he couldn't just kill him because his reputation lived on. So he had to try and besmirch his reputation. And he failed. Because we've all been there. I've particularly been there. I wrote a blog about taxi drivers in Singapore and I got fired. And I was on the front page of this lovely paper called The New Paper here, which everyone must read, saying I was a terrible person. And I got lots of abuse. If you Google Chris Reed taxi driver, you can see all the abuse I got because it's still there on Google. So I had to work phenomenally hard to basically make sure those rankings are now plummeting down to page 75 of Google rather than the first page, which is what it was for a couple of years. And so ironically, 5 years later, almost the day, I got the front page of the Business Times, which is a much more reputable paper, with my lovely mohawk. And people they basically want to demonstrate how to use LinkedIn for business. And they use black marketing alongside people like DBS and Property Guru, for example, as an example about what to do on LinkedIn. So we all control our reputations, we just need to make sure we work hard to actually do it. And that's why we have lots of recommendations. And that's why you can do it too, but it takes time. And that's the big thing that people have when it comes to not using LinkedIn properly. It's time, time, time. That's why I have black marketing. And that's why I have this culturally diverse team who can actually look after people and look after your accounts. We have a very strict HR policy, as you can see. There's got to be some kind of benefits to being the boss. So if you do like this, please do recommend my talk. Thank you very much for listening.